a glorious day at Worlds 2024 as we're in the beautiful city of Paris for one of what will hopefully be one of the best matches of the World Championship as World Champion T1 takes on a couple of World Champions from past on the other side in TES. Now, we've been here a couple of days and the fans are always waiting, filled with excitement, but I can tell you that it was tenfold today. It truly is a crazy and momentous occasion in every arena for FLICKR and T1 to arrive, but even more so. My name is Shox, and I'm joined here by Emily, Azael, and Dagda. And I have been taking some inspiration from French history, literature, and legends, and this is the one for today, okay?
All right.
It's Alexandre Dumas again. He wrote a little thing called Les Trois Musketeers, the Three Musketeers. There are three musketeers who are very skilled and perfect in their craft, and there is D'Artagnan. Now, he may not be the best of them. He may not be the cleverest or the sharpest of them, but he ends up as their leader, as the one to inspire them. And their citation is all for one, one for all. Does that relate to anything today?
Maybe a little bit, as you start to come into it. But yeah, I'm massively excited to see how these two teams are going to face off against.
You're not going to answer my question and relay it? FLICKR and T1 up versus the LPL. He wasn't T1 wasn't the strongest
I'm trying to
of the
forget those
LCK
memories,
teams.
okay?
He wasn't the strongest of the LCK teams coming in, but he's again at the forefront as being that hope.
Yeah, and I think that's the main focus here is that like FLICKR, after taking down all of the LPL last year, now has that opportunity to not quite take out all of them again, but definitely make his march forward coming into this, especially as T1 look revitalized. It looks insane, but he's going up against top esports, who personally I think looked absolutely fantastic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just hoping that it can live up to the series yesterday, because that was such a banger. BLG, HLE, one of my favorite series I can ever remember at Worlds. We saw some of the most incredible team fights we have ever seen, including some insanely cinematic fights.
Yeah.
We had really a bit of everything, and it felt like BLG really truly arrived in their LPL form here at Worlds. Elk was styling out, Knight was styling out, and it's just setting up for such an exciting potential bracket here.
Look at this!
Yeah, we got some insane Galio on Galio action here. Because Sylas has been so prevalent in the meta, this Game 4 was an all-timer. Like, this is a game that people are going to be going back, looking at the mechanics displayed from the players in this series, and I'm crushed for HLE, but I'm so happy that we get to see BLG in their domestic form finally here at Worlds.
And it sets up, you know, if you're looking at potential favorites, it sets up for maybe that LPL LCK clash that could be coming down. People have been wanting, you know, Chovy versus Knight for so long. If Gen G makes the run, if BLG makes the run, that could be a World Finals.
Yeah, what does your gut tell you? I know that you are an LPL supporter by heart.
Yeah.
Also, do they have it this year?
I really think they do. I think it's hard, though, looking at MSI, just coming off the back of the LCK, looking so strong and Gen G winning it all, but there's a part of it that still hopes the LPL can bring it back this time around.
Well, at the forefront of that could, of course, be Meiko, who we will be seeing today. He is a legend of the game. He is playing in TES, and we will do a Draw My Life about Meiko.
All right. Draw My LPL Life. Meiko. Tian Meiko Ye debuted on Ray Union in 2014 at 16 years old. At the end of the year, he joined Edward Gaming for the 2015 season, stepping into the shoes of FCCF. In his first split with EDG, Meiko won his first LPL title and his first international title, the inaugural Mid-Season Invitational. Meiko's trophy case includes LPL titles in 2015 Spring, 2016 Summer, 2017 Summer. He won the World Championship in 2021 and is a 2018 Asian Games gold medalist, as well as 2021 LPL Summer there too. Meiko's world skin for Yuumi is based on his cat Raccoon, and EDG actually has a ton of cats. They have so many that they have an entire room for them. After founding EDG, jungler JackeyLove retired. It was up to Meiko to step into this in-game leader role for the team. He took EDG to their first ever Worlds title in 2021. Similar to JackeyLove, his name became synonymous with EDG, which is why it was so surprising that he left EDG for Top Esports for the 2024 season. Now, with former 2018 world champion bot laner JackeyLove, Meiko looks to return to the world's final stage once more. And Meiko is in contention for, I think, the best support of all time. He's also 7 assists away from passing FLICKR for the most all-time at Worlds, and FLICKR is also in this game.
And I think it's incredible to see him finding his success away from EDG. He was such a legacy player there. And also just to see him join JackeyLove, to give him the support that he finally kind of deserves to have on this international stage. It has made them such a potent bot lane. They are 2 of the strongest laners in the LPL, and I'm very excited to see them go up against what is, I mean, a very dominant T1 bot lane as well.
Yeah, he said about going to top esports being a surprise for 369. It was like he wanted to go home. He wanted to join JackeyLove and Meiko. It almost feels like it's written in the stars, but you of course have to win those matches at Worlds to get there. And speaking of Meiko, his teammate Tian is also quite the accomplished artist. He really is. This is an example of one of the Masters works. I mean, it's very clear,
This is a skin concept for one of the new MF skins that's going to be coming out. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, it's pixel art, the green.
We don't have any recent ones because Tian has, or we haven't seen them because they're over on Chinese social media, but he used to do these after all of their matches. So we have decided to do the same and choose a moment relating to these 2 teams. And we have drawn a moment in the style of Tian. Who wants to start?
Let's go.
Hey, look, I can kick things off. It's going to be a little bit of a... Actually, I don't want to say anything. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But I have... my immaculate drawing here.
Okay.
I put hours of effort into this, so I don't expect anyone to insult me.
Beautiful. This is Lee
also scanned it. Yeah.
I love the Lee Sin kick.
Lee Sin kicking, is that an Elise with all the arms into an Ashe or something?
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Is it a Skarner? I think that's Ashe.
I think it's Ashe. I think it's Lee Sin, and it's either Elise or Skarner.
The clue is that it's purple, not blue on the archer.
Okay, and purple.
Oh, so it's Varus? Yeah, Varus. Okay.
Varus. Is it Skarner or Elise?
All right, what is it?
It can't be. We have Lee Sin as
It's 2019. Back in Paris. It's a little bit of a sad moment for the Ollie C boys. But it's Tian Game 1 versus G2 where he picked up his world championship just a few years ago.
I could tell. I don't remember that at all. I don't know what you're talking about. No, nice effort. Nice effort. Who's going next?
All right. Mine is more recent. It's from this Worlds, actually. So I'll spoil that for you.
This world.
Oh, we need to bring it up. I can't see.
Okay.
It's there we go.
Jin! It's JackeyLove.
Oh, it's the TES top fight where he got the quadra kill.
This is why you want me on your team for Pictionary. Yeah, it's this team fight that kind of turned things around. It made Jin look like a sick champion, you know? Tricked us all.
And everyone thought it was great,
Let the record show I was first. True. I gotta win something,
team up
okay?
for Pictionary.
Yeah, I have no teams here.
All right, let's see it.
Need to win something. Okay. It's actually, unfortunately for EU, it is.
We both just bullied EU.
We did.
Is this you sad because there's no one in Paris? No EU teams in Paris?
No. The middle is Chen. That's the Eiffel Tower, and me. I'm sad because this is the same occasion as
you and Rob did the same
I'm glad
genre.
we have that shared trauma together.
Oh my God, I forgot that Doinby freaked out like that.
It was crazy. Great. And here we go.
Oh, happy
and if you look really, really closely at this picture, there is a tear right here.
No.
Can you? I will say this was one of the hardest moments because I was crying my eyes out seconds before. As a professional that I am, I wiped it off and I did the winner interview. It's hard, but I was nonetheless really happy for FPX.
Yeah. You can be both devastated for your team and simultaneously happy for the team that won.
But you don't have to interview them.
True.
I've done
it. Right. I think mine is a masterpiece, and I think you guys are going to be able to get it. So we'll see. We'll see if you guys can get it. We'll pull it up here. This will be easier.
Oh, a Braum?
Oh, is it FLICKR's Azir against Ruler?
It's good, right?
That's it.
Look at Varus. He's getting scooped in the air.
Varus is in trouble.
Can you even tell when they brought up the real play and took down the picture?
Whoever picks Varus today loses. Is what
apparently. According to our drawing.
It's amazing. I love that you picked this one because it's such a good example of what we're going to be talking about a lot today, right? FLICKR, he can clutch it when the team needs it most. And this is one of the most famous examples. I hope you liked our drawings, and I hope it set you up well.
Oh, they loved them.
I'm sure they did for a best of 5. So let's talk about T1 versus TES, but let's start with T1 versus the LPL, because we saw it last year at Worlds, and generally it's been true, Emily and Azael. T1 versus the LPL is usually a wash.
I mean, it's insane how good T1 has been against the LPL. Obviously, there was a massive storyline last year. T1, last team arrived, just knocking off LPL after LPL after LPL. But they've been doing it for so many years, all the way back to 2013, taking down Royal in the finals. They have taken down so many LPL champions, and they're looking to try to make the run, try to meet BLG, and see if they can do it again.
I think it's also just how many of those LPL legends they've denied those titles to. You think of like Xiao Hu, Uzi. There's so many players that never got the title that people expected them because of T1.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is they've never lost more than one game in groups or Swiss. This year, that actually was 2 top esports, and they have never failed to make semifinals. We just talked about how they've taken down LPL teams. FLICKR has taken out so many players at Worlds en route to a title. So this is just a list of some of the players that FLICKR has denied at Worlds.
Yeah, just in the quarterfinals, mind you. So this graphic would be much bigger if it was
I mean, if you're including Swiss stage, if you're including semifinals, finals, it would be like 50 pages long. But it's ridiculous how many players he has taken down in the quarterfinals. You're going to see so many recognizable faces, and some of them are still playing here at this Worlds today. You can see a few of those players still around here that he is going to be potentially playing against. But to me, the thing that's so incredible about this T1 record is not just that they've accomplished it. I mean, that alone is pretty insane, but it's the circumstances under which they accomplished this, right? Because, you know, T1, if you didn't watch them in the regular season, you'd be like, okay, of course, T1's doing well at Worlds, like big whoop, they always do. But if you actually watch them in the LCK, this team was struggling. They needed so many chances to even qualify for Worlds. It came down to the final game of their final series, their last chance to be able to get here. They made it, and then even with all the struggles that they had, they still just come to life at Worlds and are dominating the competition. And I think that is what is so unique about this team. It doesn't really seem to matter what their journey is. They always arrive on top.
I'll read you a bit from my preparation before Worlds. Oner's not looking very good. FLICKR might be in his worst shape of his recent career. The drafts aren't up to point. Zeus and Guma are doing all of the heavy lifting. They're taking on the Ziggs quite late. That's all gone.
Yeah, and I think they've really found their form coming into it.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that we looked at this patch and we're like, oh, it's a T1 patch, right? They're going to look really good on this. I think on the other side, it's really interesting. Freak really wants T1 to win, you know? On the other side, it's really interesting to look at Creme, right? FLICKR's opponent, because he kind of did the thing where he had his rookie split, broke out, matriculated up to a stronger team in TES, and has really, really delivered. Obviously, he was able to get some OPs in some of these Swiss drafts, but I think as much as we've talked about, okay, this is a comfortable meta for T1, they can pick a lot of the mages that FLICKR will be able to control a game with, like the Orianna. On the other side, Creme's so familiar with melee champions, he is going to be a demon on stuff like the Yone, and he had really good Aurora performances.
And I don't think he's ever really beaten those accusations coming in from OMG that he hasn't got to explore a lot of those control mages, right? Coming into MSI, it was things like the Karma, the Azir, the Ahri that he was heavily reliant on to kind of finish off that champion pool. But if we are shifting over to things like the Sylas, the Akalis, these kind of things, he's going to have a playground here. So I'm very excited to see what his style is coming into this and how that matches up against FLICKR.
Well, and that's kind of where some of the questions come in for me, because we thought a lot of the same things, I think, about Zeka yesterday, right? But we knew, okay, you're probably not going to get Yone, so are you going to be able to perform on these other champions that you're going to be able to then be pushed to? Things like the Sylas, things like the Akali, things like the Ahri, which in yesterday's series was kind of failing spectacularly.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he has been so focused on helping out his jungler like Tian, getting that push in mid lane with things like the ADs were so important to him. And I think it's how Creme has been able to set up Tian for success has been such a crucial part of what has made top esports so special.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like when you look on the other side and you have FLICKR often being heralded as the shepherd for this lineup, you have Creme, who has 4 shepherds around him out of these different eras. Shout out to Caitlyn, he brought this up to me as well. The fact that he has 369 up there, who is the MSI champion of 2023. He has Meiko, the world champion of 2021. JackeyLove, of course, the world champion of 2018. And then Tian from 2019, right? You have a lot to build on, and it all has to come together, even if you're having an off day, hopefully.
Yeah, and he is really, really set up super well for success. I think him and Tian working together is a crucial part of how this TES lineup works, because domestically, Tian has been really, really strong, right? In terms of not only working with Creme, but just really setting up their early games super, super well, especially if they have pushing lanes. I think it's now at internationals that you have to take a look and see what he's going to do here.
I just want to say I love the point from you, Shox, because I do think it's one of those situations where when you're surrounded by experience, you have the best opportunity to develop, to really advance your game, because there's so many people that can really teach you these things way faster than you can learn by yourself.
That's a good point, and Tian is going to be huge as a factor in that. And our Mercedes featured matchup is Tian versus Oner in the jungle.
It's the defending world champion Oner against 2019 World Finals MVP Tian in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. It's been a long time since 2019, and Tian's road has been filled with adversity. This year, some of that changed, but Tian's journey to overcome his failures is not over yet. In his way is Oner, and with a 2-3 head-to-head record, Tian can look to settle the score between them.
Instant Wukong ultimate FLICKR now going to fall between worlds, but there's just nowhere to go. Meiko trying to find the counter engage, but it might not matter. Still in the midst of everything. Tian is so damn tanky. They weren't ready for that, and Jin might not kill towers, but he kills people pretty damn good.
Oner's path has not been without hurdles either. Going from world champion to being one game away of not even making it here. Now, at the quarterfinals, we see T1 in their classic Worlds form once again. And it has been on the back of Oner's consistency. These two players have seen a significant glow up. But now, as they are about to peak, someone's run will be cut short.
The ones who overextended. TES take down T1.
Every Worlds that T1 has attended, they have at least made it to semifinals. Can Tian change history today, or will Oner keep the streak alive?
Yeah, interesting matchup between these two. I think to start with Oner, perhaps, right? There was just a documentary that dropped from T1. It's called Flower. I would heavily recommend you to watch it, because he has always been the one to catch a lot of the blame if things weren't going well for T1.
Yeah, and I think he was really open and honest in that documentary. I loved it. I would also recommend that people go watch it. I'm pretty sure it's on T1's YouTube channel. But he even said when he initially started, right, he felt like he wasn't yet prepared to be T1's jungler specifically. And I feel like a lot of the time, he's been a lightning rod of criticism for this T1 team. He's borne the brunt of a lot of fan criticism in particular, when I actually thought, especially this summer domestically, when T1 were struggling, he was their most consistent performer, and we've already seen him have some really crucial, great moments for this T1 team already in Swiss.
I mean, I think it can be a bit of the blessing and the curse of being surrounded by these massive superstars, these incredible players, as you can get some of that criticism. But Oner has been amazing in the Swiss stage, and I think a big part of a lot of T1's success here and their kind of revitalization at Worlds.
Especially on things like the buy, like you're seeing on your screens. This has been the standout pick for me. The fact that he was able to so consistently in their series against BLG, counter gank, make sure that you're setting up for success, and then having this spectacular turnaround at that Baron area as well. Oner has been a man on a mission, and it feels like these utility-based junglers are exactly in his wheelhouse.
They are. On the other side, we have Tian, who is used to going up against world champions, and we said it already. They had the upper hand over T1 when they played in the Swiss stage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I just think he has been looking very, very strong so far at the tournament. His early games have been very, very strong. You know, whether it is in lane swap, setting up dives, whether it's skirmishes around Heralds, whether it was this game against Gen G, my pick for best team in the world right now, he was so pivotal. He's finding counter ganks. He's finding opportunities to push the pace. And yes, they did still end up falling in this game, but he gave them a great opportunity, and he is first as far as K+A at 14. He's second in kill participation at 14, second in gold at 14. He's being very active. He's keeping his gold high. He's farming well. That's kind of just meaning you're being extremely efficient as a jungler.
Yeah, and it underlies both of these, how crucial these two junglers are to their team success, right? Like, when he was struggling last year, it was Oner who really managed to step up for T1 during their Worlds run last year. In addition to the rest of the team with Tian, he's actually been really open and honest about a lot of his mental health issues, struggling especially at international tournaments when the pressure is on, trying to regain the prowess he had in 2019 with FPX. And he said, like, that is a huge goal for him at this event, is to return to that final stage.
I mean, especially when he was part of two of the worst performances of LPL on an international stage at Worlds, right? He ended up bombing out with FPX. He ended up bombing out with Top Esports in 2022 as well. So coming back to the main stage, finally making it to playoffs for the first time since he won the World Championship. I feels like everything is starting to align where Tian has a great team around him, has a rookie, well, not a rookie, but a newer player in the mid lane that's able to play through him as well. And he's firing on all cylinders.
Can you hear it? They're so excited for the introduction of the teams. We have some of the most popular worldwide players on these rosters, of course, FLICKR, but also JackeyLove, also Meiko. And to talk about the pressure, right? We had this conversation, big conversation yesterday about how some players don't get their due unless they win the World Championship. I think that would go for this year of TES or the last 2 years of TES. If you don't win now, then what is the point of everything you've done? For T1, it is the same, and they've already won it, and still people would see it as a disappointment if they don't make it further, even though they came into this World Championship where top 4 would already be a huge success.
I mean, absolutely, but that is, you know, that weight of expectation, right? Heavy is the crown. These are the world champions here, and once you win it once, it's not congratulations, you're all done. It's okay, go do it next year, right?
We know
and
you
there's
can.
that expectation that you're going to be able to accomplish the incredible things that you did the year before.
Yeah, also that mission, of course, from the LPL to sending a roster with all Chinese players to lift the trophy, of course, is also huge, and the pressure is insane. Let's dive into a couple of things that could make the difference here. Also looking into last time they met in terms of team fighting.
Exactly. I was really impressed with Top's team fighting. It was the lone loss for T1 in the Swiss stage. I want to go back to this one fight that really did turn the game for Top. So to set the stage, T1 is about 3,000 gold ahead at this point in the game. It's looking kind of rough for Top, and they're going to look for an engage here. They're playing obviously a little bit on fog in this brush. Top may have an idea that they're around, but not exactly that full information. So as soon as Tian and Creme are spotted, they step up. The rest of T1 is in the bush, and they're going to look for this engage. Oner goes in. He's going to go in for the Cyclone. You can see the knockup has landed here right onto Creme. And instead of actually panicking, we're going to see that both JackeyLove and Meiko actually make sure that they're staying out of this initial melee as T1 is looking for the engage. And instead of flashing back or retreating, what Creme is going to do is immediately, as soon as he's out of CC, he goes into W, and then he drops his ulti right here onto the mids of the team. So all of T1 is now getting funneled into this small little corridor, and as soon as their CC actually starts to run out here, you can see that Tian has already buffered his ulti. He's going to find a massive Skarner ultimate here, suppresses all 3. Then the Nico ultimate lands, and just now, as soon as that CC is all landing, we're going to see Meiko engaging to actually follow up from the side. Meiko follows up. All of these T1 members who thought they had the jump get locked down in that CC. There's a bounce from the grenade from Jin there that goes across all these T1 members. They're able to clean up the fight. The static shift proc helps to get every single kill. They turn it around with a quadra. They turn around the game, and they end up winning off of that massive fight.
I think it looks exactly like my drawing. That's all I'm saying.
I couldn't tell any difference.
Beautiful.
You already broke it down.
What a beautiful
I don't know why I did it a second time.
It's amazing. I coined something called sequencing in a fight earlier. To me, it just means that there are some teams that are exceptional at team fighting. They see the whole team fight play out before they even begin it. And I think I've seen this very, very often from LPL teams, also in the Swiss stage. The fact that you think you have the jump, you think that you can burst down one of them and that it is over, but it's not. They've thought 3 steps ahead. Meiko delays his engage, and then they get the upper hand. And I think that is so interesting to watch, but also goes for watching T1.
Yeah, on the other side, I'm sorry, Shocks, because this is going to be against G2
I'm
again.
over it.
You're not.
This is the game where G2 were actually in a really winnable position several times, and T1 comes back through their team fighting. This is a TP from behind. And I think the big thing here is that this happened. This is one of the fights that they set up, right? They understand so well what they need to do with this Jin, with the flank coming in from the TP. And they did this so many times. When it looked like G2 were going to win, they played out their composition even when they had failed a few fights earlier. And that is also similarly to what Isaac just set up with TES. T1 can be an incredibly dangerous team fighting team. We see it here. We saw it last year with Azale. You brought up that JDG, Azir shuffle.
Yep.
They always have it in them to be able to look for these picks, look for these fights, even in seemingly disadvantageous situations.
Yeah, and I think the big factors are always in that clutch. The fact that you always expect them to pull something off, and it never feels like it's over until that Nexus actually drops. I think that's where T1 has always shown for me, is when they're able to get control in these games, they can try and play out through. Side with Zeus, they can set themselves up for a strong bot lane. That is where they are most terrifying. And even in their last series against Top Esports, the fact they shot off to this early lead, you nearly expect them to be able to continue it, but it was surprising for me to see Top Esports be the ones that came out on top in that clutch moment.
Absolutely, and you gotta respect it. You see T1 there, it's 5 minutes before they have to walk out and start playing the game. They're still prepping. They're relaxed. They're in the zone here. And that is that kind of World Championship mindset.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just caught the yawn, but I've been yawning all day. That's normal. You got to get it out before you step on stage. Now, we said already there was so much trepidation here in terms of the French fans, and actually from all over the world, as we've seen the last couple of days. So let's see how the fans voted in our MasterCard fan predictions of the day. Laure, how is it going there outside the arena?
These fans have been waiting here since 9 to 10 a.m. It is actually insane. Esports fans and French fans are actually really excited for Team in general, but there's always a special feeling when T1 is playing. The anticipation, the emotion when they saw players getting out of the vans was surreal. Actually, we can try this one now. Who's here for TES today? All right. Who's here for T1? I'm gonna let the atmosphere speak for itself. Over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome we got to see that. You know, FLICKR and T1 is forever and is everywhere.
I think the craziest thing about T1 is no matter where they play in the world, they seem to have home field advantage.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how popular this team. People love them from every region all around the globe. And it's just wonderful to see.
Just win Worlds 4 times.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. And also the rate. By the way, you're doing badly at home or on X if you're voting. You are actually inting it so hard. You were doing so well. You went from like 89% and you're now at 70, 72, and they said 74% for T1.
Which is why I'm very confident now for Top Esports, which is great, you know? Got it in the bag. It's so easy. Gone home nice and early.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes for a prediction, so I'd love to know, and I want to know if we're all aligned or not. So I'm going to start with Azael.
Sure, yeah, I mean, I am favoring T1. I think it's just kind of hard to bet against them when they get into this format Worlds. I was really concerned coming into the World Championship how they were going to look. A lot of those concerns are now gone for me. I think they really did step up in the Swiss stage. They showed that they can still play at that incredibly high level, and they have proven time and time and time again when it comes to best of 5, that's where they really excel. They're great at adapting to the different changes in the meta. They're great at making series adaptations as far as pick and ban, and I think it is going to give them the edge, even just as far as the mental game over top, where I feel like top can be a little bit more likely to maybe boom.
Yeah, this was really tough for me because anyone who knows me knows how attached I am to some of the players on TES and how much my heart wants them to win, actually. But I am going T1 for intangibles on both sides, right? And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to make a prediction based on that, but there is this factor of, you know, FLICKR and T1 never failed to make it past quarters ever, right, at Worlds. Them raising through the LPL so many times, and then on the other side, Top Esports sometimes struggling with some nerve issues.
Yeah, I think if we were going to see the nerves issues, we would have seen it already coming in. I think they've looked absolutely spectacular. When I look at meta support picks, I think Meiko has outclassed Keria in a lot of those responses. I think the only worry for me is that we end up getting another lane swap where Top Esports kind of get caught out, but there's no doubt to me they've been practicing and they're going to look significantly better on it. I think every step of the way, Top have shown just how world-class they are, and I think they're going to take it 3-1 against the Top team today.
I know that you always back your boys of the LPL, and it would be the moment to do it, right, for TES, because T1, perhaps it was a little bit of fake data. The audience is getting a bigger lead up because they're really waiting to see these two teams, and we started off this day just talking about maybe the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan as T1, but maybe it's Top Esports, because last year it was T1 that took down all of the teams from the LPL, and all for one and one for all. It could be TES exacting revenge for all of the LPL today.
많은 팬들을 보유하고 있고 그래서 많은 비난과 많은 질타를 받을 거라고 생각은 했지만 개인적으로 그렇게 받아들인 경우도 좀 많았던 것 같습니다.
当时在2019年在巴黎拿下了冠军，让我感到非常梦幻，然后也会让我有更高的目标。当我拿下冠军之后的几个月，我感觉大家对我的期待变高了，然后我要去努力去回应这些期待。
Will not be at world biggest performance possibly ever. Shocking outcome. Yeah, get their first win.
能再次回到巴黎，我感觉非常好。我会在这里再拿下一个冠军，来回应大家对我的期待。
我第一次交手 T1 是在2020年 MSC 上的比赛上，然后那一场我们赢下来了，赢得非常简单。在此之后，对 T1 的印象就是觉得非常难以战胜吧。 就很难缠的一个对手。去年 T1 在4强的时候就赢了我们一个 B5， 因为那个是我们去年唯一出的一个 B5， 我觉得让我非常难忘。
我们是来复仇的。
Imposant. Et le fardeau des attentes. Mais c'est un poids que l'on doit porter pour rester au sommet.
작년에 우승하고 나서 올해 여러 고난들을 많이 겪었던 것 같고 다 같이 좀 힘든 상황에 놓여 있을 때 어떻게든 잘 극복하려고 노력했고 그런 것들을 좀 잘 극복하려고 하면서 여러 가지들을 배웠던 것 같습니다.
저를 응원해 주시는 분들도 엄청나게 많다고 생각이 들기 때문에 제가 흔들리지 않고 잘해야 된다라는 그런 생각이 있었어가지고 최선을 다해 플레이하는 것 같습니다.
Esports will rise to the occasion and make their way to the quarterfinals.
我们会创造历史，然后我想在滔博的对标上面加一分。
39선수 항상 제가 월즈 때마다 집에 보내드렸던 것 같은데 이번에도 변함없을 것 같습니다.
如果我们赢下这场比赛的话，可以很自信的说，我们就是宿命之间的对手。
宙斯，你输定了。
다시 한번 함께 날아오르겠습니다.
T1 contre TES. Commence maintenant.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à l'Adidas Arena pour notre 3e journée de compétition à Paris. Une bataille pour une place en demi-finale des mondiaux de League of Legends. Le match d'aujourd'hui, une nouvelle rencontre entre les deux meilleures régions du monde. Premier à se présenter devant vous, veuillez accueillir s'il vous plaît, Top Esports. Play 369. Jungle Tian. Adekari, JackeyLove. Support, Meiko. Mid lane, Creme. Maintenant, veuillez accueillir leurs adversaires, champions du monde en titre, T1. Top lane, Zeus. Jungle, Oner. Adekari, Gumayusi. Support, Keria. Mid-lane, le Paris, déchaînez-vous une dernière fois pour vos quarts de finalistes dans Esports Line.
Hello and welcome to the caster desk for what is going to be an absolute banger best of 5 series. I'm Draco, joined by Kobe and Chronicler. Guys, we keep finding ourselves together for just the best League of Legends possible.
Oh my god, just the teaser alone!
Look, there's a lot of, like, we could just talk about what this means on an emotional level for the entire duration of the series, but luckily for us, we don't have to. There's incredible League of Legends. I cannot wait to see how the draft evolves as both these teams show us what they've been working on since we last saw them in Swiss.
8 world champions in this game, down to be a banger. And as we get into draft, it's really fun because this series got a little teaser at the beginning of Swiss. And we got to see Creme actually acquiring Aurora and or Yone more than any other player at the tournament thus far. I don't think T1 are going to be letting those power picks through.
No, most definitely not. And as you point out, Drake, narratively, this series is a buffet. But what makes me the most exciting, particularly after the absolute team fighting bonanza we had yesterday, is that both of these teams can be so insanely explosive. T1 by far the most aggressive team that we have in the LCK, going up against TES.
If it's a buffet, the team fights are the crab legs, and I'm hoping we're going to get some incredible ones. You can already see the bans, 2 high priority picks, the Yone, the Aurora, both taken away by T1. TES on blue side get the luxury of a bit more target banning.
So then we drop down, because this is definitely expected from T1 to double ban these, but the Sylas and the Ahri are both champions that are very high priority for both Creme and FLICKR here at Worlds after the little bit of meta change. So we'll see where they go and trade back here for the Rumble pick.
So the Rumble actually coming out, denying it from Zeus, does mean that they're going to forgo the Jax, which we've seen a lot, and the Sylas, which, as we saw in yesterday's series, has basically become absolute top-tier, blindable mid laner this far into the tournament.
And even though Creme is a very good Ahri, Sylas just seems now like it turns into a more tanky Ahri as the game goes on, constantly stealing away that ult. So we'll see if they even do respond with that pick in the end for the counter. Meanwhile, T1, still one more pick for jungle. I would expect something like a Vi. Oner's Vi has been amazing. The Sejuani is still up, and Vi is banned. So Sejuani here with the melee synergy for those stuns is kind of the next best thing to slot in.
Certainly, that already makes that top lane matchup feel a little bit more volatile, knowing that jungler can turn his attention topside. Of course, Vi, Skarner taken off the board, makes Sejuani the next logical choice for these tanky jungle options. The question is, Tian, ball's now in his court. What is he going to pick? What is he going to bring out? Amumu, you know, I feel like inspired, bringing it to the world, and the world happy to have it in so many of these tense teamfight scenarios. Instead, the Ivern, the supportive option, now paired alongside the Tristana, a throwback to meta's past.
As good as Creme's Tristana was, I think at MSI, probably the most iconic Tristana play of the tournament when he knocked one member into the other and they exploded. I gotta say, this feels like a throwback, and not a throwback that's been very successful thus far.
I would like to see another like double AD carry with Ivern comp succeed though. You know, they already have their Rumble for AP damage, so you expect the second AD carry to come in, and then Meiko to lead the charge, round out the comp with, you know, one of those engage supports for him. So TES comp seems pretty locked in at this moment, and it's up to T1 to try and ban away the strongest components of what they see coming.
Banning away the Ezreal, knowing that they don't want to give another safe AD option, knowing that for the Camille and Sylas to be successful, they need a target that they can lock down. Tristana, obviously, with the rocket jump, with the input buffer, can be relatively safe. But what AD carry option do you pair? Now, TES, kind of the originators of what I'm going to call Jhin propaganda, with that single JackeyLove game where the static shift took over and we all thought, this is insane. It's been a letdown since then, but will they bring it back out here against T1?
I do feel so, and not only that, Guma, as we know, also loves the pick. So I wouldn't even be surprised when you pair it with this amount of dive, just having an AD carry that can stand in the back, still provide support and additional setup would really fit with the style that T1 loves to play. On the flip side, we often talk about what is a good Jhin game. When you have the Rumble and what I assume will be an engage support for Meiko, the lockdown and combo potential is definitely there.
Debating now what T1 want to pick on 4 here. So far matched in roles, unless Tristana is going to end up flexing the bot lane, but does seem unlikely. Are they willing to just blind pick their AD? Does seem the logical choice. Keria, notoriously, at every tournament we've ever seen him in, a menace with that red 5 counter pick.
Oh, that's
Caitlyn,
a blind!
And the implication now is that maybe a Lux could follow, something crazy could follow, because Caitlyn and range supports just go together so well.
It does make a lot of sense to try and get the tower pushing power of a double range Caitlyn lane here for Guma and Keria, regardless what the follow-up is going to be. Like that early game plan to take down towers, open up space for the Camille and Sylas to work. See what the answer is here. Into a Caitlyn lane, trying to deal with what you know is going to be hard pushing.
Potentially just giving a bit more space for them to debate on what AD they want to go with, as the Leona is locked in. Now, incredible combo in the team fight from either side, to be honest, and especially now with the Leona locked in. Sylas' choice of ultimates is decent in the context of this game. Nothing crazy, no Alistairs, of course. MF is the final pick. TES reliant on absorbing that initial engage from the T1 top side, turning the fight back in their favor. The Kai'Sa would be a much more flexible pick, but wouldn't pack as much of a punch in terms of upfront cooldowns.
I wouldn't have minded. I think the MF has really struggled. You're also pairing it with the Leona, not the Rel. I think AoE CC is such a big part of what can make the champion work. And pre-nerfs, I think the laning phase for MF was so oppressive that it can see you go. And obviously there might be a lane swap situation, but even then, that it made a lot of sense to pick it just as a power pick. I don't really feel like we've reached that stage and what we've seen, that level of performance from the champion thus far here at Worlds. A lot of team fighting power.
And the bar from Keria. And we talked about, as we speculated, we said, hey, is there room for Keria to continue to innovate on what had been a pretty locked-in meta in terms of engaged supports? The Bard coming in here against highly immobile champions. Yes, the Tristana can get out of a lot of sticky situations. The rest of the members of this TES lineup super vulnerable to that tempered fate.
And the Bard goes a long way with helping out the attempted side lane play that we do expect from this side, Camille and Sylas here. It actually puts so much threat here behind it, because you're constantly roaming around looking for these ultimates to burn people's flashes and make them more vulnerable targets for Zeus, Camille to trap people down and look for picks.
Looking at what TES have drafted here, the way they won that first game against T1 was by absorbing the initial blow and then counter-engaging. And I think that this comp does this insanely well. You have a lot of AoE damage, meaning that your choke point control is going to be really strong, and the Ivern adds on top of that. And for T1, this is nothing but comfort.
Certainly is. It's a good thing you bring up that first game, because in the beginning of that game, T1 had a really strong lane swap. They actually caught 369, got a first blood on them, and had a very big early lead in the game.
Additionally, T1 are set up once again to have a pretty strong level 1 overall. Bard level 1, basically 2 abilities between the passive and most likely the Cosmic Binding. Can allow them to get aggressive, maybe contest if they do want to go for the lane swap. And when you look at T1, one of the best teams we've seen in executing and finding leads in these early games, so wouldn't be surprised to see them be the ones who pulled the trigger. But at the same time, Caitlyn, Bard, and the 2v2, they're kind of happy either way it goes. Game one. A deep breath before we get into it. We need Paris come alive. Level 1 will tell us so much about how T1 want to leverage their bot lane power. See how TES navigate if they've found new innovations since the last time these two teams played.
Moment of respite before what I am very certain will be an explosive series, one way or another. Thus far, looks like both lanes happy to slot towards standard lanes. Not locked in yet until we get a little bit closer, but right now, neither bot lane moving positions, just holding the vision in this level 1.
And because this might be the last chance you have to be fully on your seat and not the edge of it, I'd be remiss if I didn't say to remember to log into your Riot Games account on lowesports.com and watch Worlds live during exclusive Worlds, emotes, icons, capsules, free stuff for watching. You're going to do it anyway. And this might be the only minute where someone's not killing somebody else, so take a chance, log in, watch, and we'll see where the lanes are going to go, because this 2v2, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to be very difficult. But now you have a little bit more time, tragically.
Nice.
We'll give you more context on the pause, of course, as we get more information here at the caster desk. In the meantime, no lane swap.
So log into your Riot account? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, log into the Riot account.
That's what this is for?
This is not a scheduled pause, I promise you that much. Hopefully, I think yesterday we had one small peripheral issue, quick resolution. We'll hope for the same today.
So it is interesting here. We're going to have, we at the least know that Oner is going to start on the top side of the map and will actually be pathing away from those double melee solo laners that you look for in the beginning of their champ select with the Sejuani kind of synergy pairing, and trying to look to cover this Caitlyn Bard in their attempts to pressure and push in the enemy lanes, try and deny CS, try and chip away at tower plates. You always are trying to push very early on here and generate some tower plate money with that combination for T1.
Confirming it is a T1 pause. We are getting ready checks in game. So we'll see if we're able to get that back on your screen shortly when the players do eventually resume. And I think the big thing to keep in mind is it's been a long time since we've seen these kind of bot lanes, but we got used to the 2 range versus 2 range for so long. But the important thing in this 1 range, 1 melee when you have this engage support is if T1's bot lane, as you mentioned, falls behind, loses flashes early, this lane gets so incredibly hard to play because yes, MF is nerfed, yes, Bloodthirster is nerfed, but if she gets an early BT, all of Caitlyn's poke, all of that harass becomes immediately meaningless.
Also, as mentioned, the Tristana, I don't think the pick has looked that good yet at the tournament, but when you think about what should be good into Sylas, 80 carries makes sense, something that can really bully him early on and try to make sure that he doesn't just get a free ride to level 6 when the champion really comes online. And the early trades here going to be big for how this lane goes, as we do have Tian setting up his jungle on a diver.
Yeah, Guma and Keria, always the ones really pushing the double range meta for bottom lane. Thinking back to last year and the amount of success they got with it. So far, though,
Zeus early level 2 means he's able to take control of the lane, tack sweep, and the hookshot wall dive. 369 smartly waiting out the adaptive defenses, but this is, of course, where Rumble was nerfed, is that level 1 point. The Flamespitter are just going to do a lot less work, as we see a bit of an all-in here on the bottom side. TES not going to overcommit. They did get the level 2, but don't want to use too many resources.
And look at that, the Sejuani already. You see Oner on the mini-map actually heading up. Oner's just done the 3 camps, and he's dropping.
Immediately going to get the cleanse out from Guma. Keria trying to trade back. Will get cleanse for cleanse in the end. Is again, Oner on the top side. He's going to run straight into Tian. Tian level 3, red buff. Locked up, Oner not going to follow, forcing out the early flash. And now contesting this blue buff. It's going to be big. Tian does have access to his flash, however. Or excuse me, smite.
No way for him to move up, though, because Zeus with that prio ensures that Oner gets the buff.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to go in there and touch the blue buff, but there's nothing he can do without his flash and so much HP already taken. It's just really smart from Oner.
Trying to keep this pressure up. Flash in! The full commit. FLICKR can now follow as well. They've got the stun to follow, but Creme locked up. They don't quite have it on the permafrost. Oner out of range, perhaps.
Zeus with the flash there to land the stun, but Creme still survives.
That's big, though. That's a really heavy investment from T1. Zeus spending a lot of time, 2 flashes, and they don't actually get the kill.
But Zeus actually, I mean, because he had been able to push in so early and crash the wave, it's bouncing back to him. So able to use that timing window, able to allow Oner to go for the first play onto Tian, then able to make the pass there through mid. In the end, you've got 2 flashes used from the side of T1 2 flashes used from the side of TES.
And while all that action was happening, Guma cleansed, Keria healed, and Jackie used his cleanse as well. And we did see a couple of those trades towards the bot lane, but as expected, both of these players, or all 4 of these players, are trying to get an early lead. Both these lanes can feel really snowbally as Tian looking to make an impact.
These are not the players or the teams to sit there and scale quietly. If there is an angle, there's a way they can find an advantage, they will fight for it, and it won't end up costing them here. While they did have Tian standing behind them, hovering in the bottom side, T1 won't going to step too far forward as the recall does come through. Oner also hovering, ready for the counter gank as resets for both junglers. Tian a little bit ahead of the curve. And Zeus, of course, used the pressure that he had well, but it does give up a bit that he had to spend so much time away from top lane. 369 now really just trying to crash this wave.
I think it was just so smart planning there from T1, where Oner goes over, plays off the pushing Camille there. Zeus really nice, taking advantage of the level advantage for the big chunk and moving in, but bottom
Excellent
side.
Zenith Blade, stun fall. If there's no cleanse available for Guma, but he has a portal waiting behind him. Ignite is there, trying to get a bit more damage down. Forced to flash out.
And we're seeing the junglers actually flash on the Raptors here as Tian is trying to get his channels off, but there's no way you can channel with T1 members in your face.
Such a difficult situation to be in. Creme playing with a lot of confidence here, but the sustain from Silent is decent. Keria on the way up. Drops a little health back to keep FLICKR standing, but Tian, that's a flashless Ivern. Oh, he's going to get taken down. A little bit extra healing for the level up, but it's first blood for FLICKR.
Oh, in these plays! TES had been winning small advantages. Summoner spell off of Gumi. They get the flash on bottom side. Then summoner spell here off of FLICKR, but they lose the first blood. The roam up from Keria.
Keria being the difference maker on this Bard. One of the biggest strengths of this champion is his rotational speed. Can get so quick from lane to lane. And it ends up being the big difference maker here as he gets spotted walking back, trying to steal those Raptors on a ward.
He put up the brush there to get some vision for himself, but then there's no way you can finish that channel as Oner came over the wall. And FLICKR here does have to blow his flash after going for this trade onto Creme. But then once Keria arrives, Oner's able to pinch onto Tian, and because of the early invade that they played off of Zeus's pushing Camille, there was no flash on the Ivern, and they do cash in on the first blood. Let's get back to live though, because the Grubs as well are being taken.
T1 reset, looks like they were able to get first setup on Grub, shifting their bot lane up towards the top side of the map. And again, we're seeing a very similar story to the first time these teams played this tournament. T1, incremental advantages, death by 1,000 cuts in the early game as they continue to take a little bit here, a little bit there. Now a kill, some summoner spell cooldowns, and the Grubs as well.
And it was the flashless Creme that I think also couldn't play as aggressive as otherwise he could have if he did have that summoner available. And the kill also went over to FLICKR. Of all people in that play involved, definitely the best one. Zeus might be in some trouble here.
Has the hookshot on the wall dive.
No flash.
369 does have his, as well as the equalizer. Going to use it for the slow route. Crucially, not going to connect. Casual tack sweep. Zeus will be able to walk away.
He still has 2 cookies.
Yeah, his wave was in a little bit of a rough spot, so the timing there was quite nice for Tian, but Zeus, good use of the passive there. Procs it, then gets his hookshot away, calmly walks out of danger. I feel a little bit bad for TES in that Meiko had been the one to actually start out the good play, burning Guma's flash, but then the chain of events still going the way of T1. And they really managed that situation quite well, with Guma immediately resetting, going to the top side, and then getting the objective for themselves after them being the ones that got their extra summoner spell burned in the 2v2. And now on the flip side, T1 reset again, and they're going to get the dragon as well. It's just they keep on accruing the objectives here.
Camtech Drake means as well that the average value of the souls is going to go up slightly there. Do want to note the gold lead still very manageable, and TS is sitting on double call. So once those are going to cash out, it's going to swing it back in favor of them as wave is being cleared there by Jackie. A little bit of damage on the Guma.
Do you think that TS will even be able to actually punish Guma while he doesn't have his flash up? I mean, FLICKR and Guma are the 2 ones that are opportunities right now, but 369 is getting a giant wave pushed in.
FLICKR might be the one in trouble now as Meiko moves in. The flash forward, the Zenith Blade not going to connect. Now the ulti coming out. He's not going to be able to knock Tristana away. Creme walking away, standing. Good dive, but the response on the bottom side. 369 needs back up. Permafrost. Perfect layering on the combo, but 369 is still living. He has the wave as well. Zeus wants to go back in for the hookshot wall dive. Adaptive defense is fading away. Red buff ticking.
They're on the way!
TES incoming. Zeus, there should be no way out of this one. The recall A hope, a dream, the flash as well. Maybe a bit ambitious. Meiko! He doesn't know! He thinks he got out! The genius play! A perfect use of fog of war!
Are you kidding me? Secret Agent Zeus finds the escape, sticks in the fog of war, and fools them all. Let's not distract you from the fact it was a failed dive, though, from T1.
Oh, it was a disaster.
Oner went down, and that was a big play from 369, getting the extra cash there, defending the dive.
And on one hand, T1 knew that the mid lane play was happening, so they wanted to try and counterplay, but 369 also didn't have his ultimate, but they just didn't have the damage this early on.
Definitely big, though, for 369, you can tell. You know, him versus T1, he constantly gets eliminated the last couple of years by T1. He has Zeus in his mind, so it could be a very big, you know, mental play there. Having an extra kill on the Rumble will come up huge. It's a champion that in the mid game really has great potential to turn team fights, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Meanwhile, for the T1 side, they've done a very good job being very proactive in moving the Caitlyn around the map, constantly trying to shift over to the open tower so he can push in and try and get turret plate money. Guma got one off of the mid plate.
But crucial for TS that they were able to grab those kills, as well as the slight bit of additional gold coming in from the double coals, as you highlighted earlier, Chronicler, allowing them to even up the gold for now. Next, grub spawn is going to be the focus. 20 seconds, resets onto the map from the side of T1, but you can see 369 is already in the river. TES likely to have first move, but T1, it looks like ready to fist fight for this objective.
And they have to. T1 is... Oh, FLICKR.
On, the abduct going to connect.
That's a lot of damage, though. Creme does have TP available.
Zeus is on the tower, bottom side, though. Camille getting rich could be a big problem for side lanes. Zeus looks like he was able to grab one turret plate, and Oner starting up those grubs.
Here we go.
But he only needs one grub. If they TP in and Oner gets one, it still feels like a victory for T1 as they get the 4 grub buff. They cross that threshold. We see this so often. T1 don't need to stick around. Keria here as well to throw down the portal. First grub down, TP, and they just walk away. They got what they came for.
That's going to be an opportunity for Zeus to shove the wave in. Camille's early wave clear, though, not going to be great, so I do think TES will be able to rotate. But with the composition that T1 has specifically, getting grubs is really big, because with Caitlyn, obviously, the siege is great, but ideally you want to try and play 1-4, 1-3-1, depending on how your solo laners are doing. And those extra grubs can make a really big difference in how quickly you can push down. And this, I think, is the problem. Like, early Camille, the wave clear just isn't really there.
Definitely not, but the extra time Zeus is happy to have, right? 1-2 items, this champion starts to feel impossible to lane against, and your strong point is 369, or was. Obviously, Zeus picking up a lot of gold balances out that individual discrepancy, and you really want to, as TES, leverage this Rumble, but T1 just aren't giving them that straight-up 5v5. You highlighted earlier, moving Guma around, avoiding that flash cooldown, but we'll see if they can maybe catch FLICKR here.
Look at this hover play from T1. Well, now with the sweeper, they are spotted out, but Keria and Oner had come to hover FLICKR. With similar thoughts there, allowing that side lane.
Forward goes down, likely they spot both Keria and Oner. 369 finally knows that he has the freedom to push up in this 1v1. T1 setting up here. And again, last time they played, it was around the blue buff in TES's jungle. The massive fight that turned it back for TES. We'll see if T1 want to go for anything similar, want to put more pressure on the top side of the map.
A lot of vision being set up here for T1. Most of it should last when the Herald spawns. And with Caitlyn in particular, want to try and get those turrets down as soon as possible. Keep rotating, keep getting those plates. We'll see. Dragon in 40 seconds. Opportunity here for either team. I do think TES, they want to get that 5v5. We already mentioned. But with the 2 TPs from 369 and Creme being invested, we could see T1 either try and play around the teleport advantage, or instead just go for the plates and try to accelerate the gold lead.
Looks like they've left 369 to push in that bottom wave, and they do
Tempered Fate's big. Cosmic Binding doesn't quite have the angle yet. Ulti coming in from the Caitlyn. Ult comes out from Oner as well. T1 fishing a little bit. They do manage to get the flash of JackeyLove, which will be big in the fight to come.
Already the Keria Bard finding some value here. That ultimate, the main goal is to get summoner spells with it. And you mentioned Chronicler in Champion Select. Misfortunes in general have had a very tough time this tournament in being able to even look for areas to get their full channel off. Now with no flash, Jackie has to be so careful with his positioning.
And I mean, basically every single champion on the T1 lineup can just cancel that MF ulti. Guma probably the only one who can't do it quick enough for it to matter. So the perfect placement, the execution from TES has to be flawless. Bloodthirster Going to make it a lot easier for JackeyLove to stay healthy, to keep pressure up in these lanes. But thus far, T1 very much dictating the pace of this game. TES have punished well once or twice to shut down some of that T1 aggression, but T1's completely in the driver's seat.
Very reminiscent of what we saw in the first game between these two teams. The timing here works out really nicely though for T1. There isn't really an opportunity for TES to rush the Herald, even though they did retake control of that area, have been able to put down a lot of wards there. Oner will be able to get the second dragon here for T1. Hex stack. When you have a Caitlyn, a Camille, I mean, it's always going to have a lot of value, but to me, the most fun Rift as well. The rotational speed that was already there for that Bard, going to be even further accelerated. See how the teams are able to use it.
I love it. The zoom map here.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to even further accelerate T1's map movements later into the game. And of course, that's an exciting point that we're looking forward to. You know, once these outer towers do start to drop, that's where you start to see a lot of these attempts at picks. And let me remind you, 369 versus Gen G was the matchup where his Rumble constantly got picked off in the side lanes, and people were very, very critical of it. So we'll see if TES can avoid that situation.
They're going to give it up, it looks like. Although they are moving over, T1 should be able to at least get control of the Herald. T1 on his way as well. And level 2 on the Rumble ultimate.
369 is coming.
You get to walk through the K-traps. Daisy going to lead the way. Meiko just barely avoiding those traps.
No flash on Jackie.
Controlling the bushes there, but Daisy about to fade away. TES seem uncertain, but now they want to start the fight. Immediately the engage coming through. Ulti not going to connect. Full channel from JackeyLove, but everybody on T1 is still standing. Objective down. Oner secures it, and again, the discipline from T1. They won't get pulled into the fight. They got what they came for.
Keria kind of absorbs right there the full engage and the Channel of the Misfortune ultimate. Magical journeys himself out. The rest of T1 stay calm, finish the objective, and then leave. Because the objective, the Rift Herald, that tool to take down these towers and get them to the next step of their plan is what is key.
FLICKR spotted by the blue trinket. Again, Tian shadowing Creme this entire game, hoping to find the angle, but Keria is here as well. Redemption coming in, a bit more damage on a FLICKR, a bit more healing for Creme. FLICKR needs to get the hell out. Nice tempered fate to buy some space. Creme not feeling confident enough to step any further forward, but with Meiko on the way, that might change.
Yeah, the rest of TES coming over to try and follow the play. Should just be neutralized. This FLICKR's going to have teleport ready.
It was the empowered recall from the Herald, so just able to get full health, teleport back into the play, and TES are investing a lot of people here towards top side, not finding anything just yet.
Root, are they going to follow? Keria able to make it back into the Krug's pit. And again, you can see TES. Tian is spending so much time grouping with Creme to try to shadow, to try to protect this Tristana, and we know 2-3 items. This is a champion that can take over the game. But in the interim, while we're waiting, it just feels like TES's ability to respond to T1 is so muted.
What we do need to address, though, is that, as mentioned, as expected, the gold lead basically has become even thanks to those culls now cashing out. And the gold, where it is better for TES. A lot of the gold that is on T1 in terms of leads is on Keria, but not going to really be able to use that as well as some of the other members.
Yep. We've seen a lot of double AD carries plus Ivern throughout the recent meta, and know what the mid and late game of that do look like.
Zeus finding a surprise 369 waiting in the brush for him. Be forced to back off, but T1 was set up in the mid lane. Don't even need to drop the Herald again. 4-grub buff, a quick push out. And if TES aren't in position to respond, it's so easy for T1 to collapse. Ulti from Oner is there. T1 not certain if they like this fight, going to start to back up Redemption. Now the ulti from JackeyLove, incredible patience to chunk out Oner.
TP!
TES 369, this TP has to be big. They need to go find his kills, but it's interrupted by Zeus, crucially. Off screen, the Camille taking 369 out of the equation. That could have been a disaster for T1.
Zeus used his ultimate for gap closer there as well, it looks like. Getting out alive after stopping the teleport. TS, though, they're immediately going to rotate on over. They still have the pushing wave on bottom side, so it did cost Zeus. It did cost T1.
But Zeus TP's top. He just wants to get a tower back. He doesn't even want to return bot lane, knowing they don't have priority, knowing they don't have control, using this Herald to knock down at least one tower, but potentially even two. All of TES in the meantime recalling, sending 3 members to that top lane to ensure that that does not happen.
Really good read from T1, because you actually read the play from TES. They were sending members towards bot to maybe punish a Zeus in case he did TP towards that bot lane turret. Not the case. Turret trade ends up going in favor of T1.
And this is so frustrating for TES. T1 are so slippery. Every time it feels like they've stayed maybe one extra wave. You can see Meiko's just chasing, just running, but we're a second away from another magical journey, and the play will just fizzle.
So a lot of what this game is going to look like, especially as more of these outer towers do drop. TES here are keeping Meiko on the top side to allow Creme to finish pushing.
Want to highlight as well the fight we saw there with T1 trying to engage and then Meiko catching most of it and then the counter mage is I think how TES wants most of the fights to look. The issue is for that to really be a consistent strategy, you need to be first to the objective. And with how T1 have been moving around the map and generally been ahead of the play, it can be quite hard. This time though, for this Dragon, they have the ideal setup. Mid-wave pushed out, everyone is in position, and this is where the entrenched Ivan can be really hard to root out.
Honestly, if I'm T1, I do not fight this Dragon. Yep. I do not face check this. I just try and get more side lane money onto Camille. My split pushing strategy is the best way to go for T1. Looks like they are going to try and get it for Zeus. I mean, they got the second charge off. How quickly could they get damage here?
A lot of members on the way.
Ulti is there. They need to get Creme away from the wave if they want to push this. Keria going back over. Looks like T1 don't want to overcommit. Not quite 100% sure where the remaining members of TES are as FLICKR starts to push in bot lane, but I think it's a great call. The earlier Drakes from T1 give them the grace that they need, the space that they need not to contest that third Drake, which could have very well been a death sentence if that had been sole point for TES.
Yeah, they're looking for 2 items on Zeus. Well, let's see, creeping around here with a control ward.
Oner fishing for the ulti. Perfect buffer from Creme. Crucial because that could have been the pick that started to break open the map. 20 minutes to Baron just spawning.
Speaking of 2 item power spikes, those double 80 carries with their double item power spikes. Let's see TES use this double 80 carry Ivern comp. It is up to Meiko. Meiko, the big play maker, the veteran here. One of many, but he's the one with the big useful tools on the Leona.
And look, he's on Bloodsong. He knows his job. They have to kill one of these priority targets. And you saw in that first fight, Keria walked away from a full channel M outfall. It did not finish him, but with 2 items completed, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore.
Meiko just clearing vision, making sure that there's no funny business around Baron. I don't know how much T1 loves to pull those. And the poking and prodding continues. Everyone on the way here from TES. This turret stands for now.
Zeus can't just poke, has to be willing to commit to the fight, but TES, 5 members here immediately going to tear through that tower. The power of the Tristana. T1 backing up, knowing that they have FLICKR on a side lane.
Yep, just keep trading. FLICKR going to get the last outer turret that TES had held on to, taken care of in exchange for their own top side turret. Solo gold here over to the Sylas. Let's see if that gets him to completion of the Cosmic Drive. And it does. Think it should be enough.
Recall goes through, Cosmic Drive completed. Again, that extra movement speed, the ability to stick on these targets, big. We'll see how far away Guma is from his second item spike as well. Zeus kind of, I think, desperate to finish.
Oh yeah.
His next item. Obviously, so often when it's split pushing, well, maybe not so often anymore, you talk about Hydra items, but instead, Sterix is just universally incredibly powerful, especially against a composition like this. So the sooner he gets it, the sooner he can start to threaten that backline, those double 80 carries.
Particularly for Camille, right? Like the scaling on your Q, the ability to go way deeper in fights, and the way that she already scales insanely well with levels will make it a really strong 2-item spike. IE now done for Guma as well. Also a little bit behind on Jackie. And the Edge, obviously, pretty expensive item, and the tension still building here. We haven't had a major team fight erupt, leading to a lot of kills, but the next Dragon might be where that starts.
And while we give credit to T1 for moving around the map, for avoiding this 5v5, it's starting to become an inevitability. You can see the brushes are set up. Creme has enough range, enough damage, but a beautiful Tempered Fate. No angle to set up on the stun, but now Zeus is going forward, getting a bit more back. Oh, double ultis coming in from the side. Oner burning down. Can they finish the kill? Flash out. TES using so much, but the jungler's out of the equation. Can they turn right back to the Baron? Do they have the damage and the time? Looks like instead, mid-tier 1 will be the option. The steady siege continues. Zeus may be hoping to find that flank, but with no ultimate available, he has to be careful. FLICKR trying to clear the wave, crucially dodges away from the root from Tian. The trap's not doing much of anything. The tower in mid will fall, but already Zeus on the top side of the map pushing in, looking to break open even more of the TES structures.
I love games like this, when you get one team trying to pull the other across the map, each one getting a tower here, but still the secondary ones here, so much more valuable for Zeus individually, and there's the completed Sterix.
And I do think now we've reached the point where TES, particularly with these 2 items on Ivern, they are so beefy. We see their T1 is like they're kind of fishing, you know, we're going in, Zeus maybe use an ultimate, but unless they fully commit, which I think they made the right call not to, because you can lose the game if that fight goes awry, it is really hard to do any meaningful damage. They did get JackeyLove as summoner, the flash from him has been expelled, same for Zeus and Oner, but they have a lot more escape tools, particularly against that Bardal that we keep talking about. TES showing the sieging power of this composition. Now the Dragon, this time it's T1 that are first to the objective. We'll see if TES can retake that ground.
With Caitlyn always wanting to arrive really early, you see that line of traps here. T1 and Guma trying to funnel TES into having to come through this mid lane river brush where they have their control ward. By TES, brute force. They're going to get in there. They clear out the ward.
Stays inside.
Knowing they're more powerful. See Zeus on side, know that they have the 4v4, feel confident that they win it. Run straight to mid, clear that wave. Now they have their access in, knowing T1 are going to be forced to catch that. TES don't feel confident to start the objective. 369 has to catch this wave on side. Last time we tried to TP in, it was canceled. Zeus this time, though, spotted on a ward, moving over. Likely means that TES know it's time to get out.
They spot him.
The threat of the flank is intimidating, and T1 will use that to start up the Dragon. How quickly can they burn?
New trap line. Tian, can he get into the pit? Trap there, stun there. They just want to burn the objective down. Tempered Fate as well. Keep the jungler out of the equation. T1 again. They don't want the fight. They're playing a clean macro game. They don't want it to be about kills at all. There's only 3, and we're 25 minutes in.
And that's salt point for T1. TES wanted so desperately to fight. Now turning towards that Baron.
Keria on his Bard, able to hit the ulti now. TES going to force it on the Baron. They're going to come, though. T1 already on the way.
Oh, the damage.
This is such a hard 5v5 for T1. Oner locked up briefly. Chain CC there. There's the bullet time as well. Nice. Bit of CC coming in for FLICKR, but he doesn't able to connect the stun. Creme already getting 1 kill onto Oner. TES, though, blinking health bars. Ulti coming in from Guma. Good body block from 369, but it stops TES crucially from completing the objective.
You saw there, Zeus was standing ready to E in if they did have an opportunity. But as long as TES pulls up the Baron, T1 wins that play, even giving up Oner.
TES, though, I love this focus where whoever is furthest up, they're just going to use everything to burn your front line first. And we're getting so many of these full channel Jackie ultimates because he's standing so far back. They're just playing off of the most exposed target, and they do get 1 kill.
Also, we talked about T1 and how much they love Barons, but with double AD carry and a Rumble, Baron has got like...
On the Ivern shielding, the risk of starting it is just not there.
Exactly, you can tank it for days. Main risk is the team fight, and TES I feel the same way. And I do think there's more of a timer on them now, because on the in 3.5 minutes, T1, if they get any map control, or if they're able to out-rotate, they can go for either objective and be happy, and that's not the case for TES.
You highlighted it earlier, Hextech Soul, I'm going to say the most devastating in the game.
It is nuts.
It is very strong. Not something you want to give to a team that is so happy to split up the map. So happy to take these isolated 1v1s as Zeus goes for just a bit of an extra trade there on the way out. And 369, again, I feels like this Rumble has been muted. It feels like T1 have danced around this pick so beautifully, and this is frustrating because you talked about 369 versus Zeus in isolation and what it means, but also for the series. If Rumble is not an effective pick for TES, that nerfs so many strats, so many drafts, so much preparation.
It's going to have to be TES forcing on objectives to try and get the front-to-back fight that they want versus T1. Meanwhile, T1 pressuring side points
there to go again.
Here is the force.
Willing to flip it, know that they have to, desperate to find the fight. They've already given up a tower, 650 gold, the cost of admittance to even get in this pit. Delayed a bit.
There's the TP.
TP coming in from Zeus as well, grouping is 5, 1 angle. TES, can they find this one? Eyes on the ultimate of JackeyLove and 369. Daisy already falling away, however. T1 getting in just enough to bait them. Beautiful cosmic binding, follow-up, the equalizer stolen away. Oner immediately going to follow. TES peeling back, but they're running out of space to maneuver with. Now the turn back, the bullet time, an equalizer of their own. Ulti coming in, JackeyLove about to fall. Keria going over the wall, it's a little bit over eager. TES still standing, JackeyLove still standing, double lady carry. But Meiko in the clutch, the arm guard, he goes gold and he buys a moment. Tian perfect timing, but it does not matter because here comes Guma, baby. Doubles coming through, T1 takeover.
T1 with the patient team fighting. They run them off the Baron, and they're going to run straight into the base.
Meiko's going to be up, but he alone, I don't think, can clear the wave.
Waves are here, 28 minutes in. They don't need a Baron.
20 seconds.
They don't need a soul.
I don't think I have the time, but they at the very least are going to get this inhibitor.
Knocking open the base, and this is crucial. This is infuriating for TES. We've seen so many teams fall. So many teams be baited in, get caught out by the team fight. Meiko knows he needs to buy space, knows that he needs to buy time. Ignite ticking. T1 want the base. Will they stick around for a second tower? The wave a little bit far away.
Jackie's up in 2. Creme's up after that.
Crucially, the Rift, though, gives them a clean exit out. But they're behind on tempo. The Baron, the immediate rush from TES isn't an option. Perhaps their only counterplay.
On a ward here, but don't know if that's enough time. And it's the patience that you talked about. And here we see again, look how hard it is for T1 to get any meaningful damage onto TES. The healing from Tian makes it really tough, but then the moment that Equalizer comes down, the health bars slowly start to dwindle. The damage is there, Meiko gets isolated, and it creates the space that T1 needed.
Honestly, beautiful stuff from FLICKR. As you say, stealing away the Rumble ultimate and putting it on their pathway. Here goes TS, right back to the Baron.
They know.
This is desperation. If they lose this fight, they lose the game. There's a wave in mid lane that has not been tended to. Zeus coming over the wall. Immediate stun. 4K getting lower. Bullet time there. Beautiful Bard ultimate. Zeus now going to look to follow through. The damage. Cosmic Binding is clean. JackeyLove down. Baron down. T1 gets the fight to get the Baron. They're looking to take everything from top esports in game 1.
Oner does it again. He grabs the Baron, and T1 are going to chase down every single mammal. Not Creme, not today!
And there's a flail hit, Scream in the head. T1 with the Baron buff. Gonna bring us to 1-0.
And this is the kind of game that you want to start a series with, this kind of momentum, this kind of confidence. This is a team that barely made it to Worlds, and they barely gave a chance for TES to play in this game 1. Outmaneuvered, outfought. Excellent so far, but it might not be over. They're still taking the soul. I don't think they're confident they can end.
It's almost unfair how T1 slump in summer and then show up at Worlds and look magnificent.
Okay, I really want to hammer home. It was not just the meta. Okay, they were on the ISO FLICKR miss shuffles on Azir. The fact that this team, at least in this first game, is able to showcase something that they didn't do for the entirety of summer is mind-boggling.
Zeus is even having fun. Parkour there at the end with the blast cone, just showing off the Camille hook shot. But here's another look at the Baron, and TS are forced into a bad spot. They know they have to just try and burn. Keria delays so long with the Bard ult. But look at this, as they can't burn it down quick enough, and so T1 press in for the team fight. Oner's even able to get the smite here, as there was an early one from the side of TES, and they just chase down all the extra kills. The real critical point, of course, was the previous Baron fight.
Of course.
And that put TES in such a rough position. And they chase them all down.
And again, that's a desperation move, but if they don't do that, they lose soul anyway. So they had to take that Hail Mary, but T1 again.
It's triple in it. Baron is still up for another minute. Look at that poke damage.
This gold lead insurmountable. The stolen equalizer doing more than even 369 could. Zeus walking up, hitting the tower, taking their time. T1 sights on the objective. Now taking the fight as well. T1 from start to finish in control of this game. One or two small hiccups, but they've been taking over thus far. Jackie trying to turn it back, a decent ultimate, but with the Nexus exposed, T1 don't look for the fight anymore. Happy to just take the game.
And TES in this first game took a big gamble. They picked away the Rumble from Zeus. I always think it's more of a pick away because of 369's track record on the Rumble, right? Even in this tournament. And they go back to a composition that was insanely strong, but this is a blue side loss. And that is something that in the context of this series can come back to bite them.
Adaptation, mental fortitude, the name of the game for the side of TES. We'll have to see what they've got cooking up, what they have prepared as we get ready for this game 2. In the meantime, we're going to send it to a quick break. When we return, game 2, T1 lead the series 1-0.
I do. I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
数不清有多少个这样的时刻，闪现向前，焦灼，欢呼，沮丧，再来。